All right, welcome back to the One Bar in Lepage show. I'm One Bar, and in this episode, we're talking about old Everson Griffen. Chances he comes back to the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of chatter on Twitter, specifically from him, putting not so subtle comments out there showing that he wants to come back in Minnesota. So we're going to talk about who Everson Griffen is now, why he could come back to the Vikings, and why he couldn't come back to the Vikings, and if I think he will be there. Before we get to that, subscribe, like the show here every damn day, talking purple, baby. All right, so Everson Griffen. Let's look at who Everson Griffen is now. We know he signed with the Cowboys last offseason, $6 million, ended up going to the Detroit Lions. Over those span of those two teams, he had 6 sacks. 6 sacks, which would have been the team leader on the Minnesota Vikings. That's how bad our defensive line is. 33 years old. Let's be real. I mean, this guy at this point in his age, what he brings to a team is some serious spunk. I mean, he is the perfect guy, in my opinion, that you would want to help bring along some youngsters. Griffen has been through it all in the NFL. I mean, obviously, he came in as a former 4th-round pick, played special teams, was a backup, worked his way into being one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL in his prime. We know all that. His passion, his work ethic is everything you want to have on a young team. What do we have on defense? We have a very young team. What did we see out there this year from that team? We saw him coming out very flat at times. We saw him spunkless, as I should say. They did not have that fearsome leader that we're so used to. And at times they just look damn lost. So he's a coach on the field. Sure, he might get you 2 to 5 sacks moving forward. Maybe he gets you 6 sacks like he did last year. He can still play, but Griffen is a guy right now that is probably a depth move, rotational guy. And the reason you're signing him is for his fire, is for his attitude, is for to bring in guys like DJ Wanham, hint, hint. So, yeah, let's look at what it would take to have Everson Griffen come back to the Vikings. Well, something tells me it'd have to be a very, 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 very team-friendly deal. We know the Vikings do not have jack shit in salary cap space. We know that the Vikings, any space that they do have, there's quite a few needs. So they're going to have to spread that out very damn thin. So Griffen, him saying he wants to come back to Minnesota and making hints out on Twitter that he wants to come back to Minnesota is one thing. But him showing that he wants to come back is what it's really going to take, because we're not going to be able to pay him much money. And there's going to probably be teams out there that will still give him some money, possibly Detroit included. He played pretty damn good for Detroit down the stretch. And they're another team that just needs some leaders on that defense right now. So money is just the obvious reason. What else would it have to take? It would have to take for Zimmer to maybe swallow his pride a little bit and bring him back. I think the reason he didn't come back probably had a lot to do with the money situation. But Zimmer's just going to say, screw it. Everson, we love you. Come back, please. Anything as far as like a minor beef between them on Twitter when Zimmer was saying he was good, not great, whatever it was, I don't put anything into that. I mean, at the end of the games, they were shaking hands, smiles on their faces. Everson Griffen, obviously, didn't take that. He didn't get too butthurt about that because of all of his comments lately. So, Matt, pairing all that up together, that's what it's going to take for him to come back. And it's also going to want to take the Vikings to actually want him to come back. They have, 11 picks coming up in the draft. Maybe Zimmer, maybe Spielman think they can just squash this need at defensive line, which is a clear, huge need along the whole line. Maybe they think they can squash that in the draft. Maybe that's the case. They're always, the theme of the Vikings, the theme of Spielman is to always keep it young, sign these guys coming off rookie contracts, sign these guys that they think they can take to the next level. So he doesn't really fit that mold as far as what they're trying to do. But the fact that he's been here, the fact that what he brought to this team, they already know that. I think they get a pass there. Why he won't come back to the Vikings, like I said, someone might just offer him more money. The Lions might offer him some cash, like I said, and more playing time to boot. If Everson Griffen was to sign here, this doesn't mean we're also going to put DJ Wanham on a back seat because we had Everson Griffen. Griffen won't start, would be a rotational guy, would be looked at as that coach on the field, would be looked at as a guy, as a mentor to show these guys what it takes to play in the NFL. Between that, it comes down to money. I'm sorry. It's going to come down to money. And if Griffen wants to play, that's all it is. Chances I actually think he's going to come back, tough one. It's a tough one. I actually think Griffen would take quite a discount, depending on how much that discount is. I think he would come here. I think he'd finish his career here. I think he realizes he owes a lot to this organization. And I'm going to put it at 37%. 37% that he actually comes back, which is actually a pretty good chance considering. So 37% chance Everson Griffen is back in purple. I can't think of anything better than this guy coming out week 1 next year, getting a big old sack and doing his dance. And if he doesn't, we're still going to wish him well and still hope he gets a sack with whatever team he's in.